Hello and welcome back to our daily blog, where today's focus is on humility in prayer. Philip Yancey begins today's humble thought, pun intended, with a quote from Peter. In words that apply directly to prayer, Peter says, "God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you." This quote is taken from 1 Peter chapter 5 verses 5 to 7. Verse 5 is written in speech marks as it is taken from the book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 34. And it's echoed again in the book of James chapter 4 verse 10. Humble yourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up. Yancey draws our attention to the progression. Humility, the step down, makes possible God's lifting us up. Jesus himself also makes this point at the end of the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, one proud, one humble. Which one will be lifted up in the eyes of God? Jesus says, "For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." And that's from Luke 18 verse 14. So how do we humble ourselves before God? Jesus personified humility. Think of the example he sets for us in John's Gospel, chapter 13 verses 3 to 17. When he washes the disciples' feet. We also have the example of Mary when she washed Jesus' feet, using what essentially amounted to her entire life savings to anoint him, an act of love and sacrifice from a humble heart. In the modern world, it's difficult to exercise humility when we seem to have a need to advertise our lives and personal achievements. People want their 5 minutes of fame. Most of you watching this blog now will be watching on social media, either Facebook or YouTube. Maybe you subscribed to the New Creation channel and it popped up on your news feed. Maybe this came up as a recommended video or you happened upon it by chance. But think of all the other posts that you've seen. Announcements, congratulations, people generally sharing their lives, photos, stories. And that's all lovely. A-level results and GCSE results have all come out recently. People are generally proud of achievements, and that is great. It's a great way to keep in touch with people. What's not so great, and unfortunately something that I see more often than not, is a culture of one-upmanship, finding the perfect selfie pose, almost creating a perfect digital life to portray to the outside world. And this isn't humility. You can clearly see this isn't perfect. I'm being attacked by a tree, but I'm not going to start over and do it again because I don't need to. Being honest and open, presenting yourself as you are, flaws and all, creates a vulnerability, humbling yourself. I'm speaking to you now knowing that this is going to be on the internet forever, and that fills me with absolute dread. Complete with tree. The cameras are all around us on a daily basis, but it's not about me. Hopefully something that's said in these blogs, even if it touches one person, that's the most important thing. We've seen so many humble heroes over the course of the pandemic. Think of Sir Captain Moore. The Queen's Honours List recognised many of these people, ordinary people that were doing extraordinary things, not because of personal glory, but to help others. Most of you know that I needed to undergo major surgery not that long ago. And obviously, I thank the surgeons for performing a miracle and giving me a clean bill of health. But surgeons always get the praise. They deserve it, of course. They work very hard, years of study and training. But of everyone else in the room, my thanks go to the unsung hero, the Anesthetic Nurse. Their job is to hold your hand. That's it. What an amazing thing, to hold your hand, to care for someone that much when you're at your most vulnerable. Especially during COVID times, that hand, possibly the only physical contact that some people had had. A humble act, a humble heart. Leonard Bernstein, the late conductor of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, was asked what the most difficult instrument was to play. And without hesitation, his answer was the second fiddle. I get plenty of first violinists, but to find someone to play the second fiddle with enthusiasm is a problem. And if we have no second fiddle, we have no harmony. The lesson here is that the person in the second chair is just as important as the person in the first chair. They have different roles to play, but work together to create beautiful music. All of us who preach or lead in the daily blogs have different approaches, skills and knowledge, which allow a rich tapestry of ideas. The important thing is that our offerings come with a humble heart. Taking this approach to our prayer life, being open and vulnerable with God, allows Him to lift us up. Did you hear about the minister who said he wrote a brilliant sermon on humility? That's an oxymoron for you to finish. It's a joke. We can all fall short of being humble. But if we can approach our prayer life with an open heart, a humble heart, we're starting in the right place. Goodbye.